It's live on YouTube.
If other people want to watch it.
I haven't seen his plan yet, but it's bigger than mine. So probably, it should be done together because the way the erosion is there, it's far away from my house, really. It's not a bad problem. But anyway, I'll show it to you sometime. Good.
Thank you, guys.
Couple more minutes. Wait 3 more minutes to see. We do have a quorum, so we're okay to go. Does yours show where the first one that's going to listen to is it's a pier, doing Bill on Lucette Island. There's a lot of pages, so I get everybody. It's 5 feet wide, 222 feet long. Apartments doing the work. And we'll see if I can find the location. I think it's right there across the bridge. No longer. It's what we do, go through the shoreline elements, just whatever. It's off that property right there. I think there's another one somewhere down there. So it's for private use. It's not a commercial. We usually only do commercial, industrial development or whatever. 2 minutes. Wait for it.
Yeah, I was supposed to turn to the person talking, but he seemed to be doing that.
You okay?
Yep.
Okay, no, hearing no public comment, we'll close the public comment session. For new business, we have a,
Could we have an introduction of the new?
oh, I'm
member?
sorry. This is Cindy Gann. She's a new member of the planning board.
Hi Sandy. Hi. I'm Catherine Bentime.
I'm Mervyn Curtis.
Hi, Dan Gates. Nice to meet
He's the
you.
CEO. Sorry.
Where did you live in South Thomaston?
I live on the Waterman Beach Road.
Okay. And you've been a resident for a long time?
Let's see, 9 years.
Cindy used to work at the town office. All right, well,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Okay. For new business, we have a new land use application from Jeffrey Henderson to structure repair located at 33 Bethlehem Road, South Thompson, Maine, 04858, North County Register of Deeds, book and page 5725, pages, excuse me, 341 to 343, town of South Thompson, Matt. 1 lot 9, the lot size is 1 acre. And we have a representative for Mr. Henderson here tonight.
I'm attending by Zoom.
Okay, that's fine. We can see you. You want to tell us a little bit about your project, sir?
It's just a pretty simple residential or recreational pier. The pier is going to be, excuse me. I think 5 feet wide, 5 foot wide, 224 feet long at the end of, and it'll be pile supported. At the end of it, there'll be a 50-foot ramp, 3 foot wide down to a 12 by 20 foot wide float. So it's pretty simple. The float will be secured in place with chains and 2 mooring blocks. The total amount of piling that would be under the pier would be 12 piling. I think 12 piles it's permitted for, and those will be pinned to ledge. And it's pretty simple. It's low key, I hope. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, this is this pier is for personal use, not commercial use, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we do have some requirement from the town of South Thompson. Just need to go over with it here. And then I'll let the board comment on any other conditions that they would like to impose or
Sure,
inquire about. Questions for you.
sure.
And short ordinance is this is a pier, dock, wharf, or other structures used extend over below the normal high water mark or body of water within a wetland. Says the ordinance reads, no more than 1 pier, dock, similar structure extending it located on the normal high water line of the water body or within the wetland is allowed on a single lot, except when the single lot contains at least twice the minimum shore frontage as perceived in section C 15A. A second structure may be allowed and may remain along as the lot is not further divided. Okay.
Yep.
So access from the shore, so the, developed soils appropriate as such that it's constructed so that it can control erosion. Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Location shall not interfere with existing development or natural beach areas. So that's just on his property heading out. There's no crossing anybody else's.
No, it goes straight out over his property. It sort of goes as a ledge rock on shore where he wants to start it, and it goes across the highest points of ledge out to where it gets to the low tide mark, which
The filters shall locate it so to minimize adverse effects on fisheries. Is there any fisheries in that area where there's no like oyster harvesting or lobstering or things like that? I don't know.
no, there's nothing.
There's been no, this big meeting has been advertised, so, and for the public for some time now. The facility is no larger than the dimensions necessary to carry out the activity to be consistent with the surrounding character, use in the area. The temporary pier or dock of non-tidal water shall not be wider than 6 feet, and you're not, you're 5 feet for non-commercial use.
Correct, yep.
No new structures shall be built over or abutting the pier, wharf, or other dock structure extending beyond the normal high water line. So no buildings, nothing's going on this pier.
Just a walking surface, basically. That's all it is.
The deck, okay. Within the wetlands unless structure requires direct access to the water body wetland as an operational necessity. So we have no structure, no building. Yep. The permanent piers, docks, non-tidal wells should not be permitted unless it is clearly demonstrated that the planning board that the temporary pier or dock is not feasible and that a permit has been obtained from the Department of Environmental Protection to assist with the Natural Resources Protection Act, which you have here.
Yep.
EP permit.
The permit has been granted.
Yes,
It's not just a pending. it's-
your permit has been granted.
Yes, and we have an Army Corps permit as well.
Right, I saw those. Okay. No existing structure built over the budding docks, wharf, or other structure extend beyond the normal high water line of the water body within the wetland shall be converted to residential dwelling units in any district. So you can't build a house on it,
No,
okay? Except for the general development district, commercial fisheries, marine activities district, built on over the abutting pier, wharf, dock, or other structure extending beyond the normal high water line of the body of water within the wetland shall not exceed the height of it, shall not exceed 20 feet in height,
okay.
okay? And
Where's your height starting from? Mean low water or high water mark or?
I would say that would probably be from the seabed, you know what I mean? You're
Okay.
building out over there, right? So those pilings won't be higher than 20 feet. That's quite high.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's gonna probably be the same height as the one right next door to it, so there shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. So that, it's gonna be less than 20 feet.
Yes,
What was that?
absolutely. Yep.
All right. Vegetation may be removed in excess of the standard of section 5.15.0 of this ordinance in order to conduct shoreline stabilization, eroding shoreline, provide a permit is obtained from the planning board. Construction equipment must access the shoreline by barge when feasible.
That's what's
determined
happening. Yep.
So I'm sure you have to bring some from shoreside, but you're gonna be using the barge for the water side and you in there.
We're
How
gonna
do you
bring,
do
everything's coming by barge. Prop Marine Company will be the contractor. If we need to do any equipment would still come by barge, we just set it on shore with our crane. So the only thing that will come by shore would be our personnel. That's about it.
And then, there's access that way or probably already.
Yeah.
When necessary, remove a tree or other vegetation to allow for construction equipment access and stabilization.
There's
your land.
no need for
None of that.
vegetation to be removed.
Okay, there's a 12-foot width, that's why.
Yeah.
When the stabilization of the project is complete, the construction equipment necessary must be, construction equipment access way must be restored. Revegetation must occur within accordance to section 15R. Okay. A little bit more here, one more. Another paragraph. A deck over the river may be exempt, so it's not over a river from the shore request. Okay. A deck over a river may be exempt from shoreline setback requirement if it's part of the downtown revitalization project as defined in the project plan approved by the legislative body or municipality. So it's not municipal. And it may include revitalization structures formerly used as mills that do not meet the structural setback requirements. If the deck meets the following requirements, the total deck area attached to the structure does not exceed 750 square feet. There's no structure. The deck is cantilevered over the segment of the river that is located within the boundaries of the downtown revitalization project. It's not that. The deck is attached to an accessory to allow for commercial use. It's not going to have that. Using the structure was constructed prior to 1971, located with the downtown revitalization project. And the last paragraph on this is, I'm just reading it all, so I'm covering my bases. This construction of the deck complies with all the other ample standards except for the shoreline setback requirements in section 15B. The construction of the deck complies with all other state and federal laws. Okay? So you have your DEP permit, you have your plan, you have your Army Corps report. And this isn't normally, we only have a special exemption, but we don't really have a form for that. So we'll have to do this by a letter to you guys, or to keep
Sure.
on file. And I think that would be the best way to handle that if it passes tonight.
May I ask what kind of boats are going to be using that dock?
He's got a small watercraft, and then he talked about getting something like a tuna fishing boat. So probably maybe a 30-foot boat to go out tunaing. The guy's a fisherman from Massachusetts as well, so he likes to go out fishing.
So
So
it's reaching deep water.
what's that?
The whole extension is reaching the 200 feet, is pretty much bringing the dock to deep water, is that it?
Yeah, because he doesn't have any water out until about 180 feet, which is where ledge ends. So the 50-foot ramp gets him out to about 4 feet of water at low tide. So it's just deep enough for his boat.
An island across from where this dock is going to be. Is this island, are there people living on this island across?
I think that's a seasonal.
Seasonal? And is
The
there
Promise Island
usually
is
boat
in black.
traffic going through that channel?
Could you repeat that question?
Is there usually boat traffic going through the channel where you're going to install a 200 feet, extension?
There's no island, there's no channel there. It's just a small cove where this is going. The dock doesn't protrude out into the resource 200 feet. Basically, it's all high ledge out 180 feet. So, and it's mostly dry ledge. So it's basically a elevated walking platform to get him out to his ramp that goes down on his flow. Basically, it only protrudes into the waterway about maybe 60 feet total. And that's with the flow. So it's not going to interfere with any water traffic or anything.
Okay, a couple of pictures would be nice.
What's
Okay.
that?
Couple of pictures would have been nice.
I submitted a plan with the land use application.
This will help you.
I apologize if you don't have them, but I did provide them.
There is a picture.
So, something here is showing, yes, that most of it is overland, actually, so that makes a big difference.
You saw this one.
There is an
Yeah.
image on that sheet S1 if you have that.
But it's okay, I asked my questions, I got answers, so that's fine. Thank you.
Any questions? Chris? Okay. Have you, so your butters to this property, have you talked to anybody next door or?
We
No,
had,
no.
we had one person reach out, and we did send letters due to the requirements by the state of Maine and the Army Corps of Engineers. You have to notify all your butters. But Carolyn Beard just reached out, wanting to know exactly where the pier was, and we informed her that it was on the opposite side of the property to hers, because she'd be on the right side of him. And anyway, she seemed fine with it.
Okay. No disputes with neighbors. Hearing none, do we have a motion for this? Or do we need any more research done on
Well, we usually, it's like I didn't have a chance to review this ahead of time. Everything looks in order. If Corps of Engineers stamped it, the Department of Environmental Protection stamped it. I don't have any other objections or questions.
it?
So
Okay. Would you like to make a motion,
make a motion to go forward with this.
approve this pier? Okay, Ms. Lot. I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion on this?
I do have one question. I'm not entirely sure what the permit fee, if this passes the town muster, what that would be. Is that something you'll let us know?
I'm sure they will. I don't have.
No.
$150,000 project, so that would be, was added to
We're
the tax
looking for
base.
1.5 million.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, I'd like to get a vote on it. Kathleen,
Aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
And I'm aye. So good luck with your project. Passes. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. And what we'll do is we'll give you, I'll get a letter done up to you guys from the town, the planning board, that this was passed by the planning board.
Thank
Like
you
I
very
said, you have
much.
all your permits. Looks like it'd be a nice project and a nice addition to the town.
Well, thank you very much. Jeffrey Henderson will be pleased.
Okay. Thank you. You're all set, sir.
All right, have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is Travis Wilson. And this is an issue where he exceeded the terms of the special exemption permit issued on, before we get too far along, can we get a copy of the original permit for the other 2 planning board members? If you wouldn't mind, real quick.
Yep, okay.
Not too many pages, I think it's worth printing. This is what the board did prior to this. So we can get those 4, each page, and just look at those for a minute.
You want me to make copies?
Yeah, I think they should have a copy, she needs a copy.
Just you make use that copy right there.
Okay. Thanks for your patience. Travis was exceeding the terms of special exemption for issued 8/16/2018, located at 110 Elm Street, South Thompson, Maine. And Knox County Record Deeds book of page 2301, page 57, town of South Thompson map 18, lot 2. Size of the lot is 2.72 acres. Okay. So I guess you and Dan have had some discussions. Would you mind just reviewing what the issue is here?
With what you've got in front of you guys, the issues being exceeding the 20 percentiles of the growth and expanding onto another lot.
And the problem with that is the noise and the dust and.
Are you Mr. Mahar? Yeah, Ted. Yeah. Phil, during this process, I'll let you, you have one to comment. I've seen a couple of your emails already. And so that's great. And if you'd like to address the board, you're free to do so.
Well, I don't know what to say. We have the noise issue. Every morning about 6:30 or so, the noise begins.
Mhm.
Of course. And our master bedroom is on the side, north side.
Yes, sir.
That's in the property. And we see that noise. And of course, it comes across all day. Plus, the only comment we've had is their shed was halfway on their property. Lot was bought.
I see.
So that, we have the visual issue, which is, I got pictures of.
Okay. You can bring it here. If you like.
Sir.
That's taken from where, sir? Is that taken?
One is taken from Long Farm Lane, the other is taken from Elm Street.
Okay.
They're labeled, I think.
So your concern is the lot across the
Lot
road.
is very
Okay.
And the noise is things decreased the value of my property.
When did you buy your house there?
Only about 10 years ago.
10 years, okay.
I got sounds if you need it.
Okay. Let's do it.
This works.
Now, this lot is not lot 18-2, right?
Correct.
Matt.
This is a piece of property we bought about a year ago now,
Okay,
and still don't have final plans for it. We've actually been working with Gartley and Dorsey on coming up with a survey and kind of a site plan for the area. We have been temporarily storing material there for
Mhm.
actually the seawall we're doing. Just because of this time of year, we have short amounts of time, we can get big trucks on the road. So we have been storing rock there.
right,
But we do not have it's not necessarily part of the business right now, it's privately owned,
right.
and we don't have a set plan right now.
Okay.
Yes, we are storing material there, but like I said, we're working with Gartley and Dorsey on coming up with a site plan, and they, that far.
What would you like to do there? I mean, with that, you think?
I don't know eventually, where we'd like to build a house down kind of on the river a little bit, and I'm thinking about building maybe a personal shop there, or we were potentially
Okay,
having like somewhat of a stockyard for loom and tops and sand and stuff like that there.
okay. Well, what would have to be done would be to be using it even temporarily. We'd have to get a application in
Yeah,
for that lot and that, what you're gonna be used for. Now, in last June, the town meeting, they redid the ordinances. So in the village area, commercial now has been reduced. Well, there was really nothing before. It was set for 10,000 square feet, roughly 100 by 100 on a lot. So you can't go any bigger than that.
yeah,
Or any, you could go, you know, maybe whatever it is for 10,000 square feet. It's
Yeah.
120 by 80 or whatever it comes out. You know, something like that. It is a commercial use. It is allowed in that village district. So the thing that would probably be, if you think you want to build a shop there or you, in the future, or, you know, use that, you'd have to file a application for that lot.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't do, I wouldn't muddy the waters. My advice to you, I wouldn't muddy the waters of the operation you have now.
yeah.
That was approved prior to the
Well, that's
zone
why
change.
we haven't really gone, because it's all happened quickly. We bought the property, we didn't really do anything there till midsummer. We ended up stripping loom, bringing in some fill to build the lot up because it was low.
Right,
And that's when we contacted Will Gartley. He came down, kind of did a site review, because we're also planning on doing a stabilization project along the river. He
okay.
said, let's encompass all the permits and everything.
For
They're
everything.
working on putting a site plan together, figuring out what they need for permits and all that, as, you know, and I knew we had to come to the planning board to
Do all
work
that.
on this, but it's one of those, I wanted to get our ducks in a row, but it's all just happened so quickly.
Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to work out in the interim, if we can, some kind of agreement between you and Mr. Marr about the noise. What we can do to mitigate that. You know, I don't know if you could park your trucks on that side at night and use the other side for your gravel operation, you go a little further away from there.
Yeah, I mean.
After a while, I
none
mean,
of our guys come in before 7,
right,
and we don't do anything before 7, and we're done around 3. And like I said, the only use that lot gets is, right now, it's got quite a bit because we've been storing rock for that job.
right, that's a big
But
job.
other than that, we don't,
use it.
we basically just store some material there and use it periodically. We might have 1 or 2 trucks in there a day.
How
Right
much,
now, it's
how much longer are you gonna be using that side for?
for heavy use,
Yeah,
2 weeks. That's,
2 more weeks.
we're wrapping up that job in a week, or, yeah, middle of next week, going on to another one, and we're pretty much done as far as storing rock there. I'm sure that's the noise that he's worried about, because that's the loud stuff. that when we dump rock, it's loud. Everything else that we do,
When will Gartley and Dorsey, you think, have the plan, what you're gonna do for your
I don't know.
shop and stuff? I know they're backed up.
the shop where we're thinking about, you know, our idea is to put that on the other side that's already been approved.
Right, okay.
That's our plan, but I want to get with them. He's working through a bunch of stuff and they're backed up. So he's, you know, it's gonna be a while for them, and then DEP's out like 5 months. So it's,
Okay. Well, right now, what we gotta remember is, you need to get an application for the other side, you know, you're limited to 10,000 square feet.
you know,
So you gotta, if you can make that work, but like I say, gotta go through an application process, where he can come and comment. And, because we really don't have anything in front of us right now.
yeah, well.
So I'm just trying to problem solve right here tonight.
Exactly. And with that plan from Gartley, like we're, like the original permit said about, putting up, I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but putting up like trees or fencing for a blockage. We had already done that on the first one, and that's our plan for the next one. To put a
Okay.
whole plan in place to have a row of trees down his whole side of the property. And it's basically our idea is plan for storage for, like I said, topsoil, sand, just things that we periodically use there. Just because we bought the property and it works, it's right across the street. Our end goal is to put a residence down on
Sure.
Riverside.
Yeah.
And,
Beautiful spot, too.
and I'd like to just put a, you know, decent sized residential shop for my personal projects on that property where it's filled in now. We're actively looking for a pit location, but as you know, real estate is kind of interesting now.
Okay. How do you feel, sir, for a couple of weeks?
If it's truly a couple of weeks, that would be okay.
Okay. Well, he's got some other piles he has to move there, so I would say probably it might be, it's muddy now, might be till summer before you could,
Well, and one of the things that we try to do with our equipment that's on site is we shut the backup beepers off when they're there. Just
okay,
because I try to be respectful of my neighbors. I mean, there's one person in the Norman Insurance Building that they're right there and they don't have a problem. He's happy and comes out and says hi to me every time I'm there doing something, and
all right.
they're literally right there.
But he's getting woke up, so he's tired on his, you know, his
Yeah,
home
so
life.
they can go home.
Right,
5 o'clock.
well,
No, he lives there.
Oh,
He lives there. He lives there.
what I would recommend is, finish up what you have to do now. If you want to put an application in, or once you get your plan together, come back with an application, and if it's something that you want to use that area more, like I say, you're limited to 10,000 square feet, 100 by 100 roughly. You'll have to, you know, put an application in, and then we'll review that for that side. Okay,
And what do we do if we want to go more?
can't.
Okay.
That was voted in June 15th, 2021. So that's the limit right there on that side.
Okay.
Your other side, you have what you have. You got 2 point something acres there of land. So that was prior to the vote on, that's the same would be, like, right now, we couldn't have the horse farm there. They would be over the 10,000 square feet. Benner, he would be over the 10,000 square feet, because he's got his pile of wood here, there, everywhere, over there, and back. So that's a village area. So it's, if you're down where I am, yeah, you could have what you want.
Well, and that's our part where our house is not in the village. Like,
The house is not,
literally, we are on the property line. Our
okay,
property line is the village.
What about that house that came with that new property that?
That one, well, that must be in the village. Is that- Yeah, it must
map
be in the village.
don't have a- like, it's online.
Yeah, I know that where our office property abuts our residence down beyond on Bartlett Lane, that property line is the village and not village.
Okay. But the side where you've got the rock and you've been working, that's the
Yeah,
head
that's considered.
is village.
Right next.
Yep.
So that's the area, it's 100 by 100. once you go there. And that's what the ordinance review committee came up with, and they put it to the town, and they voted in June.
Yeah, that's our office there, and then our house is right there. So what, did they add another thing, village extension or whatever?
Yeah, the ordinance review committee, they did several things. I have them here, all the things that they did, and they changed that to, if it's over 10,000, you can't have, 10,000 square feet, you can't have it there. What they're looking for is the smaller businesses and like that.
Yeah.
And it's, you know,
Just for,
yeah, to me, you know, because I like businesses, you know, I think you should be able to do what you want with your land. you
Well,
know,
that's just it, we have, we have
more land.
15, 16 employees, so we have 15, 16 families that depend on us.
Right,
We're growing, and that handicaps us,
okay.
so.
We need to probably make sure you put that in your application. Because when you came in before, it was small, and it'd be like you say, you've done well, but, you know.
Oh, we're
overall.
trying, that's, we put our employees first, and that was the first thing I thought when we got a call about the planning board meeting was, here we're growing, trying to put all of our guys in a good position, and we're getting,
Okay,
beat down because of the.
Well, let's not be dramatic here. We're just
I'm not,
talking
I'm
about
not.
one
It's-
side of a plot, and you have other.
what I would like to
people
do is
about.
give you a reasonable amount of time to finish up that area and get an application in. And I'm looking at a time frame of maybe sometime in June. That you could get us at the June planning board meeting. Something like that would be I think a reasonable amount. Probably about like 100 days or 120 days or something. If we could get that either approved, or then we have a plan of, as far as noise, we can review all that. Review all the parking, all the things that go in the lighting, the number of employees and so forth.
Yeah.
Because that will have to be permitted.
Yeah.
That application will have to be, if you're gonna use that side, if you're for sand or small projects or anything, that's.
Yeah.
So we'll need a lot of page for that. Okay?
Sure.
I don't think there's much more that we can do at this meeting tonight, but, if you're agreeable and you're agreeable, then, let's get a plan together, and then, so it doesn't disturb him, and the rocks are noisy.
Yeah,
Sure.
we understand and the effect that it has on the neighbors, that's why I would love to load trucks at 5 AM when it's full, and we could hustle down it, but we don't do that to our neighbors.
Right.
They might start a dump truck on the other side, the approved side, at 6:45, but truck doesn't move until 7.
Okay,
Rock doesn't move until after 7. And I know in our permit, we're approved for like 6 AM to 6 PM.
that's right. So, but we're on the wrong side of the road, so we
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
kind of like get the stuff on the other side of the road for a little bit until we get an application in, on the, I guess, is that the west side of Bartlett Lane? Yeah. But I think it's
All of it is vibration. You feel the.
vibration. Well, that can all be addressed with the application permit,
As it is now. you feel that. If that reason doesn't change that.
Well, he's say he's gonna change his operation over there. So he's not, moving rocks on that side of the road. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we don't have anything to really move, we're just loading some dump trucks, and that's not loud, loading it into a dump truck, and that's the delicately, what's loud is dumping them back there.
Yeah,
We're not dumping anything back there, we're just loading them out and hauling them off.
okay,
I mean, it's literally like 100 feet from where the rocks are stored, or as close to Bartlett Lane as possible, so. if we
Right.
move 100 feet to the other side of the road, the effect isn't gonna be.
any different, I agree with you, but I
You know,
mean,
we're not on the back side of the property where he is, it's the front side, so.
okay.
just
we-
trying to like, if we moved everything over there and did the same thing, gonna do the same effect.
Same thing, I understand. I'm not trying to make you
No,
like.
no, I know, I'm just trying to let everybody know, like, it's where the rocks are stored isn't on his back deck, it's as far away as possible.
Okay,
But they're still in visual, I can see.
right.
Give it a little bit, leaves will grow, you can't.
Well, your main concern was the noise of the rocks and the noise of the vibration.
Everything's banged shut, so.
Okay, I know, they're loud. They come out of the direct like that. So we'll, Dan, we'll give him till about June 23rd to get an application to us. And maybe you can work something out. If you need extension, let us know.
Yeah, I'll talk to,
That would probably be our June meeting.
I'll talk to Will and see where he's at, I know he's backed up, or I had him write a little thing letting, if you guys wanted, just letting you guys know that he's in process of it, but he's gonna kind of push it forward a little bit.
All right,
As you know, like projects like what Roxbury and stuff like that kind of swamp those guys.
right. So just let me know what you're gonna do for a setup over there and get an application in. And then that will give the neighbors a chance to come and comment and
I would say we also don't need the same level of documentation that, he needs.
Oh, yeah.
If he's able to then start. giving you
Yeah.
some sketches.
Well, and what he's working on is the whole comprehensive plan for the project is, so it's, we were kind of trying to encompass it all. So he had a site plan and drawing and everything. But yeah, we'll, that's really what we were working on, is figuring out exactly how we're gonna use the property. Now this new ordinance might completely change that, so.
all right.
We'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, you gotta kind of like, I tell a lot of people, they gotta kind of go to like when the ordinance review committee puts out something on the town website,
Yeah,
look at that stuff because you never know what's gonna affect you.
yeah.
Yeah, and that change actually has been in the town comprehensive. What the ordinance review committee did was adopt the zoning map that was in the town comprehensive plan. Been in there, it was in there for 10 years. But, that was the change. So you could find the map in either place in the comprehensive plan or the latest thing is written.
See, the thing is, the comprehensive plan is like it says, a plan, it's not binding, an ordinance is binding.
Yeah.
You have any other questions, sir? I know you're not completely satisfied, I understand that, but, is your neighbor, he's gonna try to work, he is entitled to file an application for 100 by 100 on that side.
Town is not industrial like that, where you can just, I moved up to retire.
Right, it's not considered industrial, the town definition. It's considered a commercial operation. So that's what, I just have to work with it, or the board has to work with the ordinances that we have and the definitions that we have in the ordinances.
Turn to industrial.
Okay, just a little history from you. Before the horse farm was there was a manufacturing facility right where that horse farm is now.
The horse farm was nice.
But I mean, no, but prior to that, there was a cement manufacturing facility there. They made cement products, catch basins and things like that. So it's, you know what I mean? I know that's why that ordinance was brought in, you know what I mean? To make smaller businesses in the village area, Well, the lot he's on is one lot, and the lot that he's stockpiling on right now is another lot.
And I actually believe that the new change to the map extended the village into that area. It used to be R1, which was anything to go
Right, any kind of industrial commercial.
on, especially on the horse farm side. That was for sure R1. And I think down Bartlett Lane area was R1.
Yeah.
They added, it was all, and then they added the extension. So the new rules have significantly decreased what can be put down there.
Okay.
But when he bought his house, it was anything could go there.
Right.
It was our most liberal area.
All the houses on the old lot or the new.
No, you
When you bought your house,
all out.
Yes, that was an R1, put anything there, including industrial.
Okay, so, Dan will have him come back, in June, give him 90 days or 100 days to get his permit, or come back and give us a report back to us. And in the meantime, we get about 2 weeks on the rocks, and it should quiet down over there. So,
It should quiet down, we're not dumping anything in there.
okay, yeah, don't dump it all in there. You can keep on your own side. You got it.
Perfect. And you're in on Tuesdays,
I am.
so we can get a permit, so we can fill it out and get it all ready. Okay.
Right.
For sure.
But get you know, I'll give you a ample amount of time, but eventually that,
Yeah.
the piles and stuff, I think they'll have to be condensed to 100 square feet there.
Yeah.
And then if you're gonna do some kind of barriers for different products or whatever you're gonna make over there,
Yeah.
you know, you probably wanna bring that back as a plan to us and
Yeah.
your
We'll,
employees, your lighting, all the everything that requires parking and so forth.
yeah, we'll look at that and review some of that. What we want to do. So that village extension, what's allowed in that village extension? Where-
Village extension is for smaller housing, cluster house more, and that's a new ordinance too. You wanna go over that?
It's a regular village district there. It's
So
all-
I couldn't even move the other piece of property we own that's in the village extension. I couldn't even move my stuff down there. Still limited it up to what, 10,000 square feet?
10,000 square feet, I think so.
Yes, 10,000 is maximum.
I think,
Oh,
is
perfect.
that,
In village and the extensions, the same.
Is it the same lot, page number, same thing?
there's a page in the ordinance that has.
Yeah, but there's like a section where, when we did this before, the village stopped, and then it was R1.
Right,
And then now that section that's R1 is now village extension or whatever, so that has the same limitations as the
Right.
village. Well, that's pretty prevalent, when you buy a piece of land, and-
they changing on it.
exactly. Cool.
How much land do you have over there?
We have 3, the one that's approved is like 3 acres, and we have 4 acres, and then the new lots, like, 7.3 acres, like that.
So you still have another separate lot there?
Yeah, so there's a lot where our house is, down in where the old, where Guy Lacoste old place is.
Right,
That's where our house is, that's a lot, it's like 4 acres, 3 acres, something like that. And then where our business is like 3 acres, and then the lot that's adjacent to him, where we're using just a front little section of it, it goes all the way down to the river, so that whole lot's like 7.5 acres.
there you go. If you build a house down there, then use some of it that way, I guess, decide to do that.
Yeah, well, that was the plan, is kind of build a roadway down in there, and separate things, and kind of have a house, and
You could sell other house lots down there if you wanted to too.
I want to retire there.
Yeah. He wants to do. Okay.
You want to sell?
I'm gonna
He
sell.
wants to say,
Go back, I'll cut the check.
Okay. All right, well, why don't we give you a little time to get organized on this? And like I say, if you can get the rocks moved in the next couple of weeks and
Sure.
keep the noise down over there for him, and then till you get your design ready, to bring it back.
Perfect.
All right. Is that a reasonable settlement?
You don't have to do,
What's that?
you don't have to do.
Have to do, okay. I'm looking for some middle ground here, that's why I'm asking you. Question. Okay,
Yeah. in terms of-
okay. But he does have to continue there, he'll need to have an application into the planning board. And then that will come under review. And he's been through that process before, people here have done it before. So then that's when the notifications go out and a lot of things like that. So,
You're losing a couple months, I'm losing a couple $100,000 investment, so.
Yeah.
You're getting off pretty good.
I can't comment. All right, we'll just end that discussion then there, and thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I think I got that. Oh, yeah. I do. Give it paper and stuff. Okay. That's the welcome. Next item is the bylaws. What's been going on here? We approved the bylaws last year. Had several meetings on them, public meetings, lots of meetings. And they were passed on March 18, 2021. And then the select board asked about notifications. It was brought up actually within the planning board prior to that. So then we had made an addendum for notifications. And I worked real hard, tried to put it into the body of the first bylaws, and we kind of got real confused. So I made it as an addendum, sent that around. We had meetings on that, public comment sections, and then that was voted in on February 17th this year. So since then, the Jeff and John come back to me with the changes that they were wording. It's, and I'll let Jeff go from there, but a lot of it is just, it's not a, what we did was not the wrong thing. We did the right thing because we went through the process, looked at everything, had meetings, discussions, and they don't like some words like abutters, the definition we used for this notification,
Which
500
is easy to
feet,
fix, yeah.
which is easy fix, you know. John doesn't like words like trigger, he shouldn't say required, and different things like that. So I think we can kind of work through this pretty quickly, and is the board willing to do a rewrite on this or make some corrections before we get started with this? Are you happy with what we did already?
Well, obviously,
Any
there are
comment?
revisions to be considered, given the feedback that we got from the
I
selectmen.
understand, but they had also had plenty of opportunity to come to our
Well,
meetings.
Well, and just to put that to bed, your ordinance, the planning board ordinance, says the bylaws will be approved by the select.
Okay,
So paragraph G says, board shall adopt rules for transaction of business such as bylaws currently to be approved by the select board, and the secretary shall keep it.
okay,
So that's the main reason the select board came back with comments.
all right.
And in most of them that are in the original bylaws that you have, those are just kind of requests, except for one. Because in most cases, what you have is parroting other documents, and you parroted them correctly. So any of the adjustments that we're requesting in there are more to soften than anything else. So I'll go through this edit by edit.
Okay, you're gonna start with which one?
First page, number 2, a vote of the planning board quorum may, and you have direct the municipal officers to fill a permanent vacancy. Now, so this is in the case where somebody has not attended and you have voted they should be eliminated, and you want the board to replace that person. So this isn't an original slot. And in your bylaws, directing the municipal officers is not really appropriate.
Okay, it is in the ordinance that you are required. I think the intent of this was that they were supposed to show within 60 days of occurrence, point person.
Yes, well,
So that's what we're looking for.
yeah, and so what we're asking for there. is-
That's the ordinance. That's what you gotta do it.
And which we go by.
Okay.
Okay, but there's two issues. One is, this is a planning board bylaw. The town ordinance can direct the select board to do something. But the bylaws for the planning board can't direct the select board to do something.
Yeah, it's a hierarchical thing, and
Right.
you're on top.
Right. So,
But regardless, you gotta follow the ordinance.
correct,
Okay,
right.
that's what we wrote.
Not the bylaws.
The bylaws reflects what's in the ordinance.
I'm not sure
Check
that.
that out.
It doesn't talk about eliminating somebody for cause, which is what that was doing. Yeah, so when there's a permanent vacancy, the municipal officer shall within 60 days. What this paragraph is talking about is you have decided that for cause, somebody should no longer be on the board. So you would ask us to replace that person within 60 days.
Okay,
Okay? So it's a nuance, I know, but
all right.
So that's letting you know, we believe we have a vacancy.
correct, that's right. And you're asking us to try to fill it as soon as you can,
Yeah,
within
I'm
60
fine
days.
with it. It's
Yeah.
just-
Okay,
All right.
That's fine.
move on.
The next one is in paragraph 4A4. And this really kind of goes to how we're currently filling the secretary position. So it would be request the select board hire or designate. And then in this case, what we've done is we've designated somebody from the admin office to fill in. So this opens that up and allows that. Paragraph B on that same page. What this does, the way it's worded here, and I'm not sure if it's in the original ordinance or not, and if it is, you can leave it there, but I think you're tying in the chair's hands. There may be a case where you don't want to designate an associate member to sit in. And so, and if the ordinance does say that you have to, I would recommend that we change that in the future. And the reason for that is, let's say you are working on a project that you've been working on for 3 months. And one of your primaries can't be at one of the meetings. But you still have a quorum without adding one of your alternates. You may not want to bring an alternate into something that you've been looking at for the last 3 months. And so this gives the chair the option to designate an associate member or alternate or not.
That was brought up, okay? And it was deemed by the planning board that it shall,
Okay,
but that's why that was shall and not may,
yeah.
okay? Because there was some questions on,
And
the
again,
chair
this is,
has this power that he shouldn't have, or I shouldn't have, whatever.
yeah, see,
That's why I said shall.
I'm not one of those people. I think the chair is the chair, and the chair has a lot of prerogative and power and should be able to exercise that. And anything that I write about the chair, I will try to avoid encumbering the chair more than you have.
Okay,
So that's my recommendation, and that one we're soft on. I mean, if you want to go back to shall, I'm happy with that.
okay,
But I think you're tying your own hands, and you should.
I understand that, but
I
that
know,
was,
because you're not taking away anything. I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Right.
well, shall, you have to do it.
You have to,
Yeah,
but
so
that's the
may.
key, so, you know.
Me, I would prefer the may,
Yeah,
but I don't, when we were discussing that, doing these, they felt that there was some discussion about that, that's how the shall came in.
We can, I'm fine with the May.
Okay,
yeah, I'm always wary of showers.
right. We all know each other pretty well, so we do
Yeah.
communicate well. But,
Okay, and then I don't have anything until we get to
Oh, wow.
12, well,
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
no, in the primary
There's
bylaws.
one,
I have quite a bit
it
in the
looks
other.
like there's one comment in under executive session, number 9. Is that somebody just correcting a reference to the statute, or is that just a link?
that's the same
Is
statute.
that a hyperlink?
Yeah, it's a
okay.
hyperlink, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Good
okay,
catch.
there you go.
So number 12 is talking about amendments, and all that does is echo what's in the ordinance, that the majority vote of the board be forwarded to the select board and shall become effective upon approval by the select board.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's fine with me. I don't care.
So now on to the addendums. And I think the basic philosophy both John and I have on this is we do not want you to build into the ordinance, into the bylaws, something that is either contradictory or changes the ordinance, all the ordinance, any of the ordinances. So we don't want you to, in your bylaws, create something that should be in the ordinance and isn't, so you're getting around it by putting it in the bylaws.
So how
And-
do we get it into the ordinance?
Matter of fact, you guys can. The only reason that the ordinance review committee was set up was because at some point, the planning board at the time was busy or didn't want, I don't know the exact reason, but it was more as a favor to the planning board because the planning board can introduce its own changes to the ordinance on its own without going through the ordinance review committee. I can tell you right now that the select board will probably have the ordinance review committee review it, but
Yes, and then it gets to, town meeting for vote and so forth.
yes, and it has to go to town meeting for vote.
But that's the whole point, people like me who have no experience in government and so forth, I need to know the processes,
Right.
and there is no manual anywhere about processes.
They actually, there are, the MMA puts out a couple of manuals, and they've got one, a planning board. I did not bring it with me tonight, but there is a planning board manual and a municipal officer.
But sometimes they are overly realistic and they are unreadable,
And MMA offers some pretty good training for planning board.
Yeah, I've attended one and it was pretty boring.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not right.
yeah, well, and I might have been a glutton for punishment, but when I was on the planning board, I think I attended one every year.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, that's the
things,
key, it's like the
nuances change.
layers, every time you learn something, but.
And I did it, and I continued doing it when I was on the Board of Appeals. So I would highly recommend the MMA training.
You see, because I feel sometimes the ignorance, so I feel like, okay, nothing can change ever. And when I disagree with that,
Yeah.
the world changes, the people change, the zoning changes. So we need
Right.
to understand how we can move a little. And, all right.
Okay, so I'll move through this. I think I should be able to do it very quickly. So the first one is the planning board maintains jurisdiction to review all applications before it. First of all, that's just wrong.
Wait a minute. This was brought up by a board member here. And the planning board, we do commercial industrial applications. So the applications that will come before us will be commercial industrial.
Certain land uses in the shore.
So that's, you're assuming a house or a non,
I'm assuming somebody somehow gets here to the planning board when it should have been done by the CEO, or it's completely out of your jurisdiction, for example, junkyards. And they come to the board. What this says is, even if they get here by accident, if they walk in and put this in front of you, you now have jurisdiction.
Within its purview.
Okay, so, but it goes without saying,
Well,
and that's already dictated in the planning board ordinance.
there was a lot of discussion about this
Yeah,
phrase too.
And I will be honest, I was never clear on why we were putting it in.
yeah, and John, neither John nor I could see a reason that it was being put in. But it significantly increases what you could be held accountable for. So if somebody came to you that should have been done by a CEO, let's take that as an easy one, and they came in and somehow got it before you, and now you make a decision on it, one way or the other.
Well, that would probably get filtered out if it wasn't a commercial industrial use from our realm. So if you, what we could put in there is maintain children of commercial industrial application before.
Why are you even putting that?
It does.
It's well defined in the.
This was not my idea.
I know.
I know. I'm just saying what the board came up with. I'm
Well,
defending the board here.
I understand. I think that I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but I think we can be flexible on this one.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the people who are
I think
now on
it's
the
a little-
board are in agreement that it can be removed.
We had some people that were
Yeah.
hard on that, you know, so.
Well, and I'll take you back to the process for reviewing permits. The first question that you should find fact on. And oh, by the way, each one of those, you should be voting on each one of them. The board has jurisdiction over this permit. Yes, no, vote. And that's fact one. Fact two, that the application is complete. Yes, no, vote. That's how you should be issuing your permits. Is you vote on each item that is a fact. Because if it ever goes to court, they want to see your fact finding, your process for doing this. And that is pretty well laid out in anything you want to look at. But and I was just looking through it today. There was a court case where the town lost only because they didn't follow their own procedures. So, and that's the other thing too. These are bylaws and they become not just advisory for you, they become your bylaws.
Okay.
So now you are obligated to follow it each and every time.
Let's stick now to the notification. This is what this is all about.
Right.
So.
And I just
I don't
want
mind
to say,
taking
John
on
and I
number
both
one.
applaud doing this because this is a long time coming. We should have done this a long time.
You were on the board back in the past.
I know.
Okay, I think we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, so the next one is on the butters. And there's a whole bunch of reasons that I don't think you want the butters here. You could leave the butters there, but then don't define them. Because it is defined in state law, it's defined in our planning or in our land use ordinance and our shoreline use ordinance. It is also how appeals are processed. So if you change the definition of what an abutter is, you change who can make an appeal and who has standing to make an appeal. So you do not want to change the definition of an abutter. Now, if in fact what you're trying to get as is we want to send notifications to more than just abutters, we want to extend it to people who are within 500 feet, then do it that way. Just say, we are going to send any property owner within 500 feet of
The boundary lines.
either the site where the building's being built or the boundary lines or whatever you want to make it, and don't even put a butter in there. Don't even use the word abutter. I personally would not do that. I would just use a butter because those rules are pretty good.
So a butter, what's an abutter then? To me, a
Jake?
butter,
We share the lot line.
yeah, lot line on any corner.
Including across a street.
Yeah, or across the river.
And public way.
Public
Across the
way.
river.
Yeah.
So I
So,
don't think it says that in the ordinance, that the butters across the street though.
yes, in the planning, in the land use ordinance and in the shoreline use.
Any lot which is physically
Check that out.
contiguous with the lot in question, even if only at one point, and any lot which is located directly across a public street or away from the lot in question.
So if we want to keep the 500
it's
feet, we
City
keep,
corner
you
also.
know, what's the word we use? Any neighbor,
Neighbor or property owner.
property owner, okay.
But again, your purpose in doing this is to notify people that can come and talk at public hearings and then would have standing to appeal. So if you did a notification to people who are not abutters that are within 500 feet, it can be argued that you are now giving them standing to appeal any decision you make. And I would try to shy you away from that. The other thing is that, are you talking about the property line? Or are you talking about the site where it's being done? And so there are many properties where within 500 feet doesn't include abutters. Okay, so would you not advise the abutters, or is it abutters and anybody else within
It would
500?
be the property line.
Okay,
The property line, that's a defined thing.
Intent was 500 feet from the lot line.
If I'm gonna
Okay.
find-
But that would be, I think, I think sticking with whatever the real definition of a butters is, might be the best move.
that's my, John is, and
Then
I do
remove the
not,
500 feet.
yeah, that John and I do not necessarily agree.
That was another thing that was heavily debated.
Yeah, I know, to me, the 500 feet was important, because if you have a big industrial project, you can have a tiny property at the property line, and still the people who are most impacted, are beyond, within 500 feet, you have a good radius of, yeah, people who could be impacted and should have a say,
Yeah, I think for a project of that scale, you could argue that the sphere of impact is wider, and that people who are slightly further away might deserve standing with you.
Right.
Depending on the scale of impact, obviously we can't.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, and you're right, the way for appeals, the way it is laid out is an abutter automatically has appeal authority. They have to jump through some hoops to say, I attended the public hearing, I commented on the public hearing, therefore I have standing. It also adds anybody else who can show that they are aggrieved. So,
Well, John has suggested using nearby property owners instead of abutters.
yeah,
So
yes.
that would be where it says the following cause of concern notification to nearby property owners. And nearby property owners, or whatever, it doesn't have to read right, but anyway.
Or you could just say notification to nearby property
Property
owner
owners,
within 500 feet of the property.
all right.
yes, I'd like to keep the 500 feet.
And that's John's. My personal is, I prefer abutters for other things, not for who you send notices to, but because it opens up the world of appeals and lawsuits to people that are beyond what we currently consider. And just remember, right now, you have no obligation to send letters, right?
Still don't, no.
Right, so anything you put in here will be better than what we have. So if you put abutters in here, that's me. John says, use 500 feet from the property line. Just don't call it abutters,
Okay, I'm fine with that.
so.
Okay.
No abutters.
All right.
Okay.
Abutter is a buzzword.
Okay.
No, but I mean, that's language. I think we want to maintain the intent of what we were trying to say, and it's just we're
I
working out
agree.
the
So we'll
language.
use nearby property owners and keep the 500 feet.
Yes.
All right. All right, fine,
And the next set of comments kind of goes with that one as well. And that is, okay, so now you've defined who's going to get the letters.
Yeah.
Who decides what the content is of those letters? And in the next one, it talks about putting a sign at that particular address. So who's the decision maker, or who's pen?
They don't have to put a sign.
Right, and there's another thing too. Who decides whether they do or they don't?
What it is, we request them if they will put a sign. Let's say you're gonna put up a building and you say, you could write something coming soon, Jeff's new skating rink. Okay, will be here on this lot. So when your neighbor rides by, he can look at that sign and say, oh, Jeff's gonna put a skating rink in, he is. That's all it is. That's not a requirement. We can't
Except
force
that,
them to do it.
except for that, it doesn't say the applicant may, it says may be requested to post a sign.
Yeah.
Once you go to an applicant and request them to do it, that becomes a rule. that applicant now is obliged to do what you requested.
No, they're not, it's a
I
request,
think
it's
the
still,
reason that we did that is that it can't be a requirement, because a requirement to close the sign would have to be in the ordinance, right?
right, we don't have the authority to tell them, we're just gonna say, would you mind putting up a sign that you're gonna be having a new business?
Okay, and.
That's all it was.
All right, I think we just need to wordsmith then this, because right now it comes across as you may request, you may not request, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
May or may
what's
not
gonna
do.
make your decision on whether you requested or
We
not?
could ask them if, say if a board member wanted to make a contingency of the plan or whatever they wanna do, just say they request that. to do
I
that.
think the two conditions listed in 4.3 are what triggers, all the notification for me. And same thing, having a sign is definitely in those circumstances is, a good thing.
Okay.
So
So again,
We debate the same
yeah,
back and forth. Can we make them do it? No. Can we ask them to do it? Yes. Will they
okay,
do it? And they could say no.
but here's the other point I'm trying to get to is, you either ask them or you don't ask them. You don't maybe ask them. You don't may ask them. Because once you do that, now you have this person you ask them to, and this person you don't ask them to. So now they are being treated differently.
Well, maybe we
Which-
should ask them all.
There you go.
So
That's fine by me.
to me, 2 and 3 should be combined. These are the requirements in the case of a commercial, or industrial construction of a large size and of a site disturbance of 2 acre or greater.
So just change that way, applicant,
So letters
Will
of
be requested.
representation are required,
Is that
and
fine?
the applicant is
Yeah,
required.
take the
to
may out and say
specify.
will. Okay,
Will be requested, yes.
will be requested. To post a sign on the project. So can we just ask everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
And because you're just asking to post it, John said, if you're gonna do this, you need to be more specific about where the sign's gonna be. A piece of property that can be seen from 131 as they look down over, where is that sign gonna be? Is it gonna be at their property line, or is it gonna be back on 131? So those are just, those are questions that you, now by saying you're gonna request everybody put a sign up.
Well,
That is.
the sign will be, is to stand at the entrance of the property and view the town road. You gotta be able to see it from the road.
Yeah, that might be impossible.
Well, if it's impossible, don't tell us.
They'll tell us they can't put a sign.
They'll deny our request.
What we want to do is put a sign out. If you're gonna have a car dealership or you wanna make something, that you put a sign, just, if you don't mind, put a sign out, because it's done a lot of places.
Yeah.
They do it for zone changes. This area is gonna be, zone is gonna be changed.
But the individual doesn't do it. The town does it. Matter of fact, that was John's whole point. Because he's right now in Georgia. And he says, I see those signs all over the place, but they're all the exact same sign, and it's done by the town. The town puts those signs up. They may request the individual post this sign. But it's,
All right,
but it's
so
the
what
sign.
if I find a sign maker somewhere and I talk
Well-
to them and come up with a standard size and an estimate, and we make that part of a fee, then, we can have it
Yeah,
made.
but you're only asking me to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to pay the extra $10
Sure.
to do that. So I'm not gonna do it.
Well, what happened was, at the Anderson Farm, they posted a sign. That they were gonna be converting that, and that alerted the neighbors. And so so we said, we can't force somebody to put a sign, but it's kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah, and I'm happy either way you go on this. I just think that you need to be as
So-
specific as you can in here.
Well, what I'm saying is we just changed that may to will.
Will be
you requested-
requested to put a sign, and we include the size of the sign, in there, so that,
Well, or do you want to say a sign provided by the planning board or?
I don't know that we have the administrative capacity.
yeah, and it's
good
extra
point.
work for.
I would just ask them to post a sign,
I think we
a
could
simple
make a
sign.
PDF of a sign
you know,
that they can print out themselves.
There you go. Good, all right.
Okay, so we just, I think the may to will, and then get who decides on all that criteria and how it is. I think that's, John is kind of, he's out in the weeds, getting out there a little bit on some of that.
Okay, say letters of notification are required in either of the following cases. Okay. So, yeah, so this one is kind of in conjunction with the previous. So, and John's comments on it is, who sends the letter? I think later on you actually say
The town,
the town sends the letter, but
right?
who writes the letter? Who pens the letter? Who puts the words in the letter?
It can be a form letter.
Well, what's been happening in the past, since I've been chairman, I've been writing the letters.
Yeah.
And sending them to people by first class mail, so they are notified.
Okay, so,
I'm sure they are formulated.
and that was John's actual recommendation, is that in this, you put that the chair of the planning board
It doesn't always have to be the chair, but it can be, I'm a member of the chair.
or his designee will draft a letter to be provided to the town, to be sent out first class.
And the only reason I've been doing that is so that I want the butters, people to know. And I actually did that before we did this.
Yeah,
So I've been doing it for,
and as you know,
I'm in
John
my
and I,
second year.
John and I both applaud that because we were willy-nilly before. Okay, so now in the next one, so this is what I understand are the two things that will trigger the previous actions, right? Both the putting up a sign and notifications and letters.
I have a thought on this topic.
Yeah.
Which is that, looking at this again, like, I don't know why I didn't say this when we talked about this before, but it seems sort of obvious that any proposal triggering a public hearing would also trigger the other two.
I would think so too.
So I
And,
think we can probably just say, here's a list of types of things. Here are the types of notification that are required for this type of thing.
yeah, yes, I agree. I think that because when you correct number one in the list of things below, it then eliminates the issue with you can just take those two out, because site disturbances of 2 acres or greater is really gonna be tough. Because how do you determine how much is being disturbed? And does it include the road from 73 2 miles back into the site
We talked
location?
about that. Greg said yes.
Yeah, that's, so,
There aren't that many properties where that would be 2
Yeah.
miles.
yeah, and again,
It doesn't
This-
mean,
this
it
is
doesn't
one-
mean they can't have that. What we want to know, if they're gonna go and tear up a big plot of land, that we need to, that needs to be reviewed.
People need to know.
People in the town need to be, the neighbors need to know, that's all.
again,
That's where that came
but
from.
only if it requires a permit from the planning board, right?
Well, that could be also a condition of the application.
Yeah, and that would be, so that, if it did not require an ordinance,
This is not my idea, I'm defending the people that did.
Yeah,
for example, if you develop 3 acres or more, you need to slow the permit.
Right.
Right, so there's thresholds like that are hard to adjudicate necessarily, but
Exactly.
they do exist in the state of Maine. And there is precedent for like imposing review on levels of site disturbance of a certain number of acres.
and that's a site review permit,
Yeah,
which goes before the planning board. And a site review may be periodically, once you get the permit, then every 2 years you have to go back to the planning board. That's usually covered under a separate ordinance on site plans, which, as he was talking tonight, he's gonna come up with his plans. We have no ordinance about this. We have no way to drive somebody who's going to do that to the planning board. Other than those things we have, uses we have listed. We don't have a process for site reviews, which is, as we just have discussed in the past, that is something that should happen. We should get an ordinance to do that. But there's a whole bunch of things we should get ordinances for. But I digress. So again, I think you're opening up with that being left in, you're open, and that was John's point. You're opening up a bag of worms that is very difficult to define, hard to adjudicate, hard to get your arms around. And it makes you open to criticism from somebody who says, I didn't like the way you handled that, so I'm going to now appeal this particular one or take it to court. So I'm easy either way. If you want to leave that in there, there's 2 acres. I think.
My thought would be get rid of the access road, but that's a, for example, the event center, say, that's not over 2 acres with the road.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the on road going down there, and where their building is, that wouldn't come under this.
Yeah, and does it include those things that are not planning board permits, like residential? So if you're doing a residential,
Or we just do commercial industrial,
well, there's a few other things you do, but in general, yeah. But again, if you put in here that you are going to do A, notifications, and B, you're going to have a hearing, a public hearing
can't say
on
public
some,
now.
well, you can in this, you are now making this a public, this is a public hearing. I mean, you've defined when a public hearing will be
Right.
held, and you will do a public hearing. But if you are doing it over things you don't normally have jurisdiction over, then you have forced that item under your jurisdiction.
I think we can clarify that by just saying like permits, like whatever it is, like permits submitted to the planning board involving site disturbance stuff, you know? I think we did
Yes.
not intend to increase the jurisdiction of the planning board, but we did intend to introduce a like small amount of site plan review
Yeah,
to planning board applications on a large amount of land disturbance.
okay. Okay, and so if you want to clarify it that way, I think that's good. And that goes to, and just so you know, John did not like the word trigger. For me, it's, I'm not.
Triggering something for him?
Yeah. He would rather have it requires,
Okay,
or it will happen if something other than trigger.
he's afraid of guns.
Yeah, okay, so now in the next one, and I think.
Well, before we go any further, on the site disturbance 2 acres or greater, that would be, you don't want to, You wanna
I like
remove
what
it?
you put in. I would like to just remove it, and I think John did, but I don't have a problem with the way Gabe put it, is that for items that require planning board approval, that disturb more than 2 acres of land.
site disturbance of 2 acres or greater, including the building site and access road. So
Yeah.
that pretty well says what it is.
Yeah, it's just. it
Just make sure you
We
put
just have
in,
to make it clear that it's only for the types of application that we review. And
Okay.
And not for random other types of. application. So it's not
So
as though
for
somebody-
applications before the planning board, would you like to say?
Yeah, so or applications over which the planning board has jurisdiction, something like that.
and you could use the same verbiage in that number 1, greater than 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, and I think,
Applications for the, would say that again, what you said, for the planning board?
applications over which the planning board has jurisdiction. What was I gonna say about? Yeah, and that's just, I mean, it's a little squishy, but that was actually on purpose.
Okay.
Because I think
Okay,
we wanted to, like, understanding that site work and like more so than building work, I think is a trigger for, pardon me, for people to have complaints and raise issues, raise concerns. It's almost visually more alarming.
Right,
than
right.
Building of a building. I think we wanted to just nod to that and, recognize that. And of course, there's already in the performance standards, there's gestures towards that kind of oversight.
Right.
But we want to just make it part of the notification process as well.
And so the A above and this one particular, again, just make them match the uses that are in the land use ordinance. So that you are not accidentally creating a requirement for board approval because you have said it needs to be a public hearing if it's a commercial, or if it's a residential that's greater than 10,000.
So now you're down to structures here, or you are commercial?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
structures and the one above, the 3A, or was 3A, now 4A, where it says commercial, it said commercial or industrial construction.
Greater
Greater
than
than
10,000 square feet.
So
So-
always preface it with, for applications over which the planning board has jurisdiction.
Yes.
Oh, just want to add that to that one too?
I have a sidebar
Yeah.
on that, on this 10,000 square foot topic. I think that applies to principal structures. Do you think that applies to?
No.
is it-
Oh,
If somebody built a house.
You could make the argument that it is the structure.
I don't want to make Mr. Wilson's argument for it, but that's
Right.
what I would say.
You could make that argument. I think where the commercial use is not in a structure, it's outside, I'd say it has to be,
used, yeah.
Yeah, it has to.
Well, in the ordinance, it reads that way.
Yeah.
It reads the actual building and land of greater than, like in the
Yeah, it
village
says-
zone,
it says
it has to be,
use,
you
doesn't
can have 10,000 total, that's it.
Right.
So if you got a big, whatever it is, say 2,000 square foot building, you can get another 8,000 feet, and that's your limit. Around the building.
Yeah.
The land and building,
Yeah, I think that's probably about.
that's what it reads.
Because it's only allowed in R1 now, okay.
Yes, that's right. It's only allowed in R1. And the thing is, it was allowed, we didn't have a distinguishment in commercial between less than 10,000 or over 10,000. Commercial was commercial.
Well, commercial, you can have greater than in R1. R2, what is it? It's more restricted.
R1,
R1.
R1's the most restricted,
at least restricted.
yeah. Well, R1, you can have a building over 10,000 square feet.
And it's also the vast majority of the town has a land area.
Correct.
Okay.
Just so you know, the primary thing about the village extension, I'm digressing a little bit, but the primary thing about village extension is that you can have half acre lots.
For houses.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that application that Georgia Planning Board has approved of jurisdiction over A and B. Will that work in that spot?
I think, Jeff, under number one, I think we've gotten to this point now, underneath what we've discussed a little bigger. Under number one there, it's actually not commercially, I think again, there is that 10,000 square feet, and yes, we're talking about commercial uses, but I think it's any principal structure over which the planning board has jurisdiction greater than 10,000 square feet.
okay,
So like a 10,000 square foot multifamily, for example, or a 10,000 square foot hotel or whatever it is. So
Okay.
We want to probably use that threshold as a blanket understanding of like project size over which we have jurisdiction.
correct. Okay.
I might write that commercial structures. Is that what you're thinking?
No, he's saying don't put commercials,
But I think,
Or anything, okay. Like we had it in the beginning.
yeah,
but structures greater than 10,000 square feet for items that the planning board has jurisdiction
Okay,
and approval.
okay, so you want that rewritten over here, top of that.
like a outpatient.
Okay.
clinic, for example.
Then we have a list of,
Right, which is not industrial premise.
there's another 8 things.
Or a school, so I think like,
Junkyard, middle exploration campground.
And all of those are clearly
Okay,
within your jurisdiction.
all right.
But if you do an introductory portion of it, that you can cover it all in one, writing it once.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll put that above that and include all that.
Okay.
Put that.
Yeah.
All right,
now that I mentioned those outpatient addiction treatment clinics, I think people would probably have opinions on those, but we did not put it on the list.
I don't think we have them.
Here we go.
Thomaston has some, Rockland does, but you're right. I think those would be ones that people would be interested. Okay, so I think my damage here is.
now the last one that John had
It's not
was
so bad.
Letters of note to butters.
Oh, that's that same abutter thing. It goes back to to redefining
Yeah, so.
So what would you like
nearby
there?
Property
Near-
owners.
nearby property.
All right.
Here's the last question I have about this public hearings, which is, so we have an application before us, it's not on this list, it's only 9,500 square feet. And it's an outpatient conviction treatment.
Right.
Can the board vote to hold a public hearing on that application on a case by case basis?
Yes.
I think so.
I think you can.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be upfront about voting to do that. And it may, and you may want to involve the applicant as well.
There's only one spot in town that can be put in.
Yeah, I know, it's only, but it's R1, there's a lot of R1.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, but it can't be, that's designated 131, an
Yeah.
area there already.
Oh,
That was on the planning board when Roger was the chairman.
Right, well, either way, I think as long as there's like, in other words, like the thing we didn't think of yet, as
Right.
long as we can vote to hold a public hearing on it when that comes to us.
Right.
Then I feel comfortable like we have that back.
There's things on this list that you could call public hearings on that aren't on this.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that's what I.
Yes, you can.
Great.
and as long as your rationale is consistent, then it should not be an issue. So you're gonna do the rewrites and then,
Sure.
you know, send them to me and John and.
Right. I may not, they're kind of this week, I gotta go to Florida Monday for a conference. I gotta take my wife to Texas on Saturday. And
Yeah,
I'll be
I
back.
don't
So
think it's time.
I'll get it to you
Little late.
in a few weeks. probably. All right.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
I think Dan want to give we got a little time left, we got a short block, but you want to give a little discussion on tiny houses?
Yeah, what we're starting to see, and this is from conversations I've been having with other contractors as well as Mike Day and Brent Lawson, who are both state inspectors. Mike Day is internal and Brent Lawson is external. What we're seeing with these tiny houses, and I mean, I think everybody's probably a little familiar with them. It's, you know, anywhere from 500 to 400 square feet, and there are building codes on these things. The problem they're starting to find is how the septic is being treated. But for these, some go to leach fields, others are composting, and they are finding problems with both and how it is being treated. I mean, just for a little bit of background here. On average, and it is a regular house, so you have washer, dryer, shower, it's a tinier. But on average, you're looking at 180 gallons a day for something like this. If you have a composting toilet, you're looking at about 108 gallons a day. So their recommendations are being that it's treated just like a house. For 180 gallons a day, you're talking 1,000-gallon tank in your standard size leach field. 108 gallons a day would require a 750-gallon tank.
Is that just something we want to clarify in the ordinance to say like, or, I mean, my perspective, that makes sense. Like, it makes sense to me that a home that is tiny but has all of the fixtures and appliances that a regular house has is gonna have require the same septic system that a regular house requires. Are you seeing applications for these things? In Southampton?
I haven't, no. No, I haven't.
I guess the concern would be if somebody puts a tiny house in and they use the septic system for mom and pop's house, if they live out in the backyard.
And that has occurred, not to interrupt you, but that has occurred in Rockland. You know, they're just putting a pipe in the ground and off into the leach field.
Because we have some
Yeah.
regulations on accessory units.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Well, you could if you had 2 acres. You'd have to have 2 acres. And I think you'd have to have a separate No, we leave it up, we leave it up to the LPI.
I think what's happened with this is the in-law apartment thing came up a while back.
Yeah.
And, I don't think we were, I don't know how the septic portion wound up on that. Because people were saying, well, if I have a garage and I want to build an apartment for grandma,
Which we currently allow.
we allow that.
Yeah.
So, using the same context, a tiny house could hook into it.
Yeah,
Existing septic
yeah.
system as long as you can handle it.
Yeah, that's the key. You need a review of the septic system,
septic system,
you
right.
know, so that it can
So
handle it.
they have
It's
a large
considered
septic
an
system.
extra bedroom, an extra, you know, how many bedrooms, or, you know,
The
that's what's
usage.
logical to me.
You know where the ADU thing is in the ordinance? I can't find it.
Which one?
The land use. Or is it only the shoreline?
No, I think it's.
But, you know, it's something we need to talk about, yeah, because, you know, with the shortage of housing, you know, around
It's
here,
gonna come up.
it's going to become, you know, an option, preferred option very soon, developing, you know, developments of multiple tiny houses. So, you know, you don't have the space for the tiny houses, but yeah, the space for the septic system is going to be definitely something
Yeah.
to define.
So second dwelling, mother-in-law area, existing constraints, so. Right now, Dan, you could issue a permit for a second dwelling unit, which could theoretically be a tiny house, provided you look at the existing septic design and understand that the additional load from the additional dwelling unit would be adequate. Or you could say, you could build this, but you need to septic.
We need to enlarge the
The
septic.
septic,
yeah.
yeah.
I think, so you do have that power underneath the current land use ordinance. We don't have the authority to review those applications to go to residential, but you do. You have the authority to require the septic system to be big enough.
What do you guys think of the composting toilets? Because I mean, that is something,
That doesn't go in the ground.
right, but it does
Well,
have.
how
to
do
be-
they dispose of it, you know, to me,
Yeah.
that's the question, I mean,
I
it's.
think they're empty,
composting-
aren't they?
They are, but it.
Where they empty, I guess.
But it's got to be removed by a licensed septic person.
Person.
Yeah,
Even a small toilet. I think.
I think in general, they're okay, but I mean, we do have language also that the ordinance review committee put in about individual and private campsites. I think it might be similar, similar case where, you know, if you, what it says basically is you can have a campsite, but if you're gonna occupy the campsite for a certain amount of time, you gotta talk to Dan and tell him what you're gonna do with this. You know, you have to basically get a plan in place for how that septic waste is gonna be disposed of. And I think maybe if it's.
What if people, yeah, function as if they are the porta potty, you know, you have a commercial service that comes and takes out.
That
the
would be
waste.
that would be an issue, would not.
It would be okay,
That'd be okay.
Yeah,
but you'd want maybe, I don't know, maybe the composting toilet question is a legitimate one, because I mean, in general, composting toilets are okay, and they're probably like good things for the world in a certain sense, but they do need to be.
monitored.
Yeah, there should be some visibility
Hmm.
at the town level to, or at least some recourse to inspect it and render some kind of judgment on how they're being implemented.
Yeah, I agree. Currently, the only way you do it is under the LPI will review, has to approve. And I think until we change some of the language in this, that using that authority, you should apply the same rules to a camper or campsite, which is that they have to give you a written plan and authorization from whoever's gonna haul it off.
But I think there's specific things about composting toilets that like, after a certain period of time, what the intent of a composting toilet system is, as far as I know, this is just from having worked on building projects that have involved them in the past, is like, that at a certain point, like what comes out of that composter is no longer the sewage, but it's compost.
it's good for you.
Well, no, from what I've read though, they recommend not to, you know, without that breakdown period.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
need to
definitely
break
need
down.
the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just sewage.
Correct.
And that's not good, right? So I think, yeah, I think that using the idea of the campsite, like if it's got a septic system, you review it like it's a septic system. If it doesn't have a septic system, then it's basically a mobile home.
Mhm.
And you review it like it's a mobile home and just say like, hey, you got a plan here. You gotta let it break down to a certain amount, you gotta get somebody to haul it off, you gotta do something that meets the requirements.
So is there a specific, way, to review a composting toilet? Like if you have a campground that uses composting toilets, what is the inspection that has to happen there? Is there something defined?
Yeah, you just have to, you have to see the written plan on how it's gonna be disposed of. And if it requires a third party coming in and doing it, you
Yeah.
have to have that documented. Who it's
I'm
gonna be.
thinking Hurricane Island, that's how they function. And,
So with the composting toilet, it's okay to throw the liquids into the woods
The
or?
liquids still need to go into the leach.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Okay.
not-
yeah, right.
I think that, the composting for, or either they evaporate over time and are gone,
Mhm.
or there's a leachate there that has to go into that has to go into a septic. I think it just depends. on the
Call
setup.
it like a gray water system is what I'm thinking.
I've got the plumbing code here, but I'm not gonna find, I will find it right now.
Any other discussion you'd like to talk about? Who's, how tiny houses? Inside the sewage, is that the main concern?
That was the main concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they know that you've already gotten your LPI
I did.
certificate?
Yeah, I did mention it that.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. Thank you.
That's pretty fast and impressive.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
CEO's next.
There you go.
Okay, if we can just move on to the next item, we need to approve the minutes for the February 17th meeting.
I make a motion to approve the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Cindy seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, Catherine?
Aye.
Gabe?
aye.
Cindy?
Aye.
Herb? Aye. 4 favor, 0 opposed. Couple things to do. There's a gentleman that would like to become a planning board member, named Jamie Slayton. He lives on Homeport Avenue down there. So he expressed to me last night, he couldn't come tonight because he was out of town, but I told him to come in to see Terry and express his interest. And see if he will. And then I'd like to look at the next couple months' meetings, maybe next 3. There's April 15th. And then the next, that's the 3rd week that month. And then in May, May 20th, moving to. And then the 3rd week in June is June 17th. No, excuse me, June 16th. But I'd like to, if anybody doesn't have any objections, do that on the 23rd of June that month. Because I'm doing my work schedule a little bit.
April 21st is the 3rd, or April?
April 15th, comes early, doesn't it?
April, it's the 15th is a Friday.
Oh, Friday, excuse me, 14th. No, it'd be the 21st, sorry about that.
24th.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. So that's the 21st will be next month. And then May 19th. And then the June one, we could just move that to, the town meeting the 21st. And then move that one to the 23rd.
Okay, you're going too fast. So May, the 19th.
The next Tuesday, the 3rd week, and then the other one would be 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, okay,
What I'm
I
asking
just
for,
finished entering April, so now May.
May would be the 19th,
19th of
Yes.
April.
and then June, the 23rd.
June 23rd.
Yeah. Okay. Tentatively, if we get to change it, we'll figure something out a little later, but just wanted to put that to you tonight.
June the 23rd is fine.
Okay.
Did we have an application for a dock
You missed
Yeah.
that.
Sorry, Ben.
That was a private dock, and it's, they have all permitting.
They were already approved by.
They are approved by DP, and they have their Army Corps. They're within the limits of size and scope and height and everything. It's a 12-foot high.
Well, I'm gonna have
200
questions
feet.
about that.
Yeah, I looked at it, I found the plan, it's 12 feet high. So
Yeah.
it's private dock. The neighbors have been notified. They've already written letters to
I
them.
didn't see your text. Okay. Yes, we are.
But because the DP won't do that.
I guess I better just go in there. Yeah, that one's cool.
And we're gonna handle that by writing a letter that they will approve tonight.
Very large.
It's huge.
It's long, but it's, the reasoning is, you said they go over legs for quite a ways.
No, I think I
Yeah, well, I
see,
think
but
there's
yeah,
a
the-
guideline, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's about, he said 60 feet over the water, but it's always water, I guess.
225 total. Oh.
22, I think, yeah.
And the minimum,
And ramp and float. I believe there's one next to it down there as well, near there. Already.
you know what, we didn't ask anything about removing the float.
It says seasonal.
Huh?
It's seasonal,
Okay.
seasonal.
The application says seasonal.
Yeah, okay, good.
Actually not too cheap.
Yeah.
150 grand in the coffers. So that's gonna be we've had 2 years this year, we had Mr. Radcliffe, and
Is this a
and,
new house being built or they are just doing the?
it's a house, I guess, existing there now. We're not doing the house or anything. So that's $150,000 with the assessment. One other thing that I wanted to bring up to you was, we got a revised application from the solar, South Thompson LL Solar people. And so I did call Nextel, the people that are doing the work, because the price went from 9.2 million down to 3 point. Let me see if I got that here. Like 2.9 million. So that kind of made me, I was kind of wondering about that, and I said, well, so I called them to see if that was, it looked all the same dimensions, all the same equipment.
It's just for evaluation purposes?
I don't know, well, that'll have to be, but anyway, they kind of messed me up because I was doing my town level, and so put the right price in there, but, let's see if I have it here.
Yeah, that's something, how do we handle that? They put an application for a project that was approved at $9 million.
It's already approved, but
Yeah.
there's
and
no
now they-
changes in it.
And now they are sending documentation saying it's worth only 3 point.
I think that'll be up to the assessor to see exactly what they are spending, but.
Yeah,
uh,
how much it costs is really.
It's not, what my concern was, were they downsizing the project?
Yeah.
Is it the same distance from the property lines? Is it the same, and the plan that they submitted? I'll find it here somewhere.
Look the same.
It's all the same. So I had a lady, her name was,
They're using
Tanya.
secondhand.
same land, same everything. So I,
This is not the time that I would expect the construction project to end up costing 1/3 of what it cost before.
well, I gave a call to see if if it was to change. There's no.
So you talked to them?
Well, I was meeting with Dan. I did talk to I would want to see if they had to come in.
And what did they say? Why?
They said it's the same project.
So why, how did they explain the drop?
Well, what they said was basically that the designers of the thing, the engineers, they kind of put one price on it, and they're the construction people, and they put another price on it. The Nextel. So.
Will we just lose out on a lot of money by not charging them based on project value?
I think so.
But that will come up with the assessor. And also, there was one small one that Dan's working on. It's for about 500 square feet. Yes. That's a homeowner's solar project. So that's another solar project. But that doesn't really come on, it's a residential use.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, so
that's
So
not-
not even CEO.
But that was. let me see if I can
Yeah, it's
find that.
considered like an appliance.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just, pull it out here. But anyway, that's quite a reduction, so I did call the people just to see if they need to come in. But the project's already been approved, they just changed the amount of the value of it.
So that's a good question, actually, for assessment purposes, like, if somebody installs a charging station, you know, that's considered something an appliance, it's not added value to the house.
This guy. You use that?
As far as
No, right.
assessment, it wouldn't
I've
have,
got a copy.
but
Okay.
it may increase the resale.
Yeah,
Just, if you're curious, you guys want, we can look at it. We'll hand it over to them, and then they can hand it back.
do you want to make copies?
Well, it's quite a few. It's the same project, they just reduced the price.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I just thought you guys might be curious about that. And that's all the correspondence that I've had, other than everything discussed tonight.
So you mentioned charging station, as charged as an appliance?
Yeah, like, you know, to charge the electric car,
Yeah,
yeah. and-
so, but that doesn't need to come in front of you guys for
No.
something.
No,
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, that's, yeah,
that
that's,
probably
you
doesn't
know,
even need to come in front of you.
yeah.
Somebody just.
I would think,
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
it's just an electrical, you know, hookup of sorts,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So if they are showing this, they have really reduced the number of panels.
No, it's the same inside, I think that if
That's
you look
just
at the.
one- that's
the
Just,
drawing-
just one, yeah, one slice, okay, good.
Yes. I think you see the same drawings that you've seen before in there, look like them to me.
Yeah.
The lady's name's Tara, her name's on the email there. So I gave her a header number there, so I called because I wanted to see what it was
Yeah, I
about.
remember they had like a really huge application.
Yeah,
Okay, so they got the.
I think the pictures you'll see there,
Yeah, here,
that we've seen those,
yeah, so that's the same.
same as it was.
Yeah,
The construction cost is just less,
lucky them.
okay.
Oh, is it?
Cindy, I'll look at that real quick.
How much did they have to, actually, how much did they have to pay us on the permit?
I'm curious about it.
How do you break something like that down, guys? I mean, when you're looking at, and let's just pick a number, $4 million, you know, for that permitting, and how do you?
It's by square footage, which is a little bit silly, but, right, permits are by square foot fees,
But what is it?
it says number of.
It's not very much. It's like, I don't know how much is it, I like to say like 10 cents, but I'm gonna be about that, that's pretty cheap, pretty cheap.
Is that like 10 cents per square foot or?
Could be, yeah.
Is it?
Something like that, I don't know what the fees are.
Other towns.
I'm not a commercial man, I know nothing about prices.
All the.
That's what I tell them in the office. When I buy something expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you have $9.2 million.
But that's a good source of revenue, you know, like,
The difference between the two plans, one came from the engineers, this one came from the people that actually gonna construct it.
Yep.
okay. But that's another thing we should discuss, how to price the permits, you know, because that would help the town raise revenue.
We,
That's an ordinance, right? That's an ordinance.
yeah, but we don't, what they do is, they think you're gonna build a shed, you say my shed costs $5,000 or my garage, whatever. And that, we've taken them that way. Then the assessor comes back, I believe, and looks at the property and says, well, that's a $10,000 garage. You know what I mean?
Well, if you have the invoice to show how much you pay, you
Right.
know, and that's the whole thing, and,
But that may not do it either, because it could be for the value of the, you know, they could see, it's, you know, you're on the water or you're something, you know what I mean?
well,
There's other
no,
factors
but
that come in.
that's irrelevant, that, you know, you pay according to the value of what you put up. You know,
Right.
the cost, not the
Right.
value, the cost of what you put up, and that's it. You know, and it's like a dollar per thousand or whatever, I don't know if that's reasonable or not, but,
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
No, Mr. Spade here.
Okay, second
Second.
motion, second motion, any discussion? None, hearing none. We'll vote to adjourn, all adjourn, raise your hand. All in favor, zero opposed.
Thank you, Ben. Good night.
Right.
Well, yes, I know, yeah, quite hard to stay here. But the Historical Society, did you get the email? We're not gonna miss it. I know, it's a
Right.
bit crazy.
Land over here, I thought it was 1,200 now, it's 12. Well, I don't know, I've got 18 months.
There's
of-
been so many changes.
Yeah, so yeah, you basically, then I get to build my house and stuff. Yeah. What's it, the market will be at.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next month if we have some business.
Something that will be done.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Dean.